buddy.
560-5589-560 KKTA. So you've been traveling?
Oh, gosh, I've been on a whirlwind tour. I was just thinking when you're talking about New York, I was the first week I was in San Antonio for state required training in order to keep my peace officer's license. Pretty interesting because we had most of the chiefs from around the state together. And, you work in this business for so long, you come up with these guys, with the exception of the ones that came from out of state to take jobs. Like McManus came from Minnesota, but most of the chiefs here in the state of Texas came up through their various departments, so I've known them a long time. So I got a chance to talk and revisit with those guys. And then turned around and went out to San Francisco. Actually saw Lillian in San Diego as they were doing their desal talk. That was an interesting talk, by the way. But anyway, I had to fly back through San Diego, making my way back home. So busy.
San Francisco, same thing?
Yeah, San Francisco. Same. I was there for PERF training, which is Police Executive Research Forum. They're kind of a think tank for policing, and that's on a national scale. So Bill Bratton, the New York commissioner, was there. I was thinking about him as you guys were reading off that story. Yeah, so you get all these big name guys from around the country, like Chuck Ramsey in Philadelphia, Bill in New York, Beck in Chicago, and so you get to talk to those guys and see what's going on in their cities.
You listen to those guys make those presentations or talk to those, and do you ever sit in the audience and go, whew, thank God I don't have that problem?
No, not really. And I think the better conversations are at breaks in the hallways. So you get the cleansed,
addition if they're standing in front
PowerPoint stuff. Yeah, but then you get the truth of the matter when you talk to them privately. So.
And seeing as how last week you were talking about the homeless in City Council, did any of that talk come up? Because
absolutely,
they treat their homeless much differently in San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco, you think we have a homeless issue. They've really got one, just like San Diego.
A protected class in San Francisco.
Well, I don't know if they're protected because they do, frankly, I think a better job than we do, which is part of the reasons I was having conversations. In the Sobriety Center, I know that we're going to talk.
They're pouring money out hand over fist for that.
They do. But their numbers are not on the rise like ours. And so they have effective services for that community in that if you come across a person who does not want to be in that situation, they can get out of it. And they do a better job preventing, which is what we kind of talked about last week when Susan and I gave that presentation.
Preventing people from being homeless?
Correct. Yes.
All it takes is a job.
Takes a job. And, I mean, sometimes you got to offer a little help. And there are people, we hear about the folk who abuse systems.
Right.
But there are actually people who get help and you never see them again.
Do they move, or do they just not?
Some do. Some of the help is a matter of connecting them with families who could be in some other part of the country. Okay. Some is working with Workforce Solutions, for example, and connecting them with jobs. A lot of people don't know how to look for jobs. I mean, it's a different world right now. Filling out for jobs. When I was filling out for jobs, you had to go and fill out a paper application. Right now, you won't get a job that way. You've got to know how to work the computer.
And make some sort of impression when you show up to interview.
Yes. Dress accordingly.
How is it my responsibility to make sure somebody understands how to do that?
Well, and it is not. But if you don't provide that helping hand, there could be a potential that it will then be your responsibility through vouchers and food stamps and all of that stuff.
I understand that. I know where it goes. So I it seems like don't have a choice sometimes. But How do you get to be? Can you offer a suggestion on how do you get to be an adult and not understand how you apply for a job?
That I don't know.
Okay,
but folk get in that position. I don't know how they got there, but
isn't that a character issue? I started the program off talking about character this morning.
Yeah, it could be. But that doesn't
Somebody
mean...
has to teach you what character is. Do they not?
Yes.
Okay.
And it generally is beaten to you and your parents. Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. News Radio 1360, KKTX 822. Chief and I are comparing green thumb pictures.
Hey, I'm coming after you, man. I'm finally starting to work on the yard. I've been in the house, I guess, going on 2 years now, and got the inside just about like Tanya wants it. But now we're starting to do yard work. So,
you need any plumeria?
I need all kind of stuff because I virtually had to tear that yard out, and then start redoing. Yeah. And so working on the grass. Now, I got a few plants out there. But,
well, the grass looks good.
Yeah, it's starting to look okay. Yeah.
So you got a motorized gate?
Motorized gate, yeah, with a actual motor on it.
I got I've been thinking about doing that.
Yeah.
Because it gets old after a while, especially if it's really cold or it's rainy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty... and comes in pretty handy. And
I'll be working and I'll think, I don't need to do that. And about that time, my neighbor, Tommy or Cindy will pull up. Beep, 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 beep. Just a little reminder that their gate's automatic.
Yeah.
I was thinking about just going ahead and putting a garage door there with a garage door open.
Yeah. I don't know how well that'll look. And that's got to be some sort of code violation, right?
If it wasn't a code violation, I think my next door neighbor would find a way to complain about it.
Yeah.
It's a garage door. What? You want me to put a faux roof on it too? If I put a faux roof on it, would that be okay?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. When Angus gets out. Yeah.
Well, it's not going to blow anything up or off. If it blows down, it'll just tumble down the driveway.
Yeah, so my dog Angus gets out all the time. Uh-huh. And I don't think he's that smart. He could probably slip right through that fence.
Oh, he can?
Yeah, but he sees the gate closed. He's like, forget it. I'm not going to run away.
You could put up a little hog wire on the bottom there.
I know, it looks horrible, though. I'm going after effect, you know?
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
I like your gate.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
It was on the house when we bought it. Yeah. The only issue was the motor didn't work.
Mine's busted.
Yeah.
I mean, my gate. Parts of it are just...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big old heavy iron gate.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. And so
those things are expensive as heck.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Last week at City Council, we have a homeless problem. I want to know who asked that question.
Which question?
Do we have a homeless problem?
I don't know, but I could tell you the answer is yes.
Well,
a growing homeless problem.
I've known that for a long time because we get into these discussions every once in a while, and all we do is chase them from one spot to another spot. Yep. And that seems to be the common denominator with all cities.
Yeah, and see, here's they're a population that we can't ignore, right? And so everybody's talking about how much growth is coming, how much growth we're experiencing, and we want those families to move to Corpus Christi. Therein lies what I do: code enforcement, neighborhood building, and policing the city. And so, quite frankly, some of these people who are just hardcore don't want help. People who find themselves, I've got to deal with them. Mm-hmm. And so, this is very, not something I would rather not be doing this, but this is something that I've got to try to have some sort of impact on to move people into places that they can either get help or move on to someplace else.
All right. The presentation last week was more along the lines of we need to be harder on these people so they'll move along.
It was simply to inform the council that we're looking at this issue, set some sort of vision or some sort of strategy, get some input from them, because if we're going to move off of X, we've got to have some sort of vision and some sort of strategy. Try to get input from the council and then move forward. And there's a few ways that we can deal with this, and that's through zoning, meaning that you can only build facilities or expand facilities in certain parts of the town. Mm-hmm. We can deal with it by way of ordinances, mm-hmm. and we can deal with it by way of money that the city has that these various shelters can apply for and get. So we can set conditions on that money. So those are the three tools that we have in order to try to positively impact the situation that we're in, and that is a growing population that we simply can't ignore, because we can't have a city looking the way that it is with all of this industry moving here, because we don't want those residents moving, I'm sorry to say, outside of the city limits of Corpus Christi. We want this place to be attractive for them to move to.
Well, the further you get from downtown, it seems like the further you are removed from.
Exactly. Because downtown is where pretty much all of the services are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, when you look at, and everybody points to San Antonio, I'm not saying we got to be a San Antonio, but we do have to come up with a concerted effort and collaborate with all of these entities that are doing pretty much the same thing, so that we're not duplicating services. They'll come and get stuff from you, then they'll come and get it from me, and they'll come get it. And a lot of times they'll sell it. A lot of times they'll trade clothes in. They do things with stuff that you don't think they ought to be doing. They're certainly not doing with it what you think. Well, you gave it to them for.
Yeah. If you consider what some of them will do with their food stamps,
they'll sell it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you'll give them cash.
And they're they get victimized. They get robbed. And so, it's just something we can't ignore, and it's right in our face, and it's a growing problem.
All right. The sobriety centers, I don't understand anything.
Yeah, I'd enjoy talking about that.
All right.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that right after this. It's Lago in the Morning. News Radio, 1360 KKTX. Chief Floyd Simpson in the box. Wednesday, after the council meeting, there were stories about sobriety centers. And I thought, I don't understand how, if you have to man these things 24/7, you're going to save any money, because people are not going to volunteer to do this. Or when you deal with drunks, you have to have some people that are experienced, because they are difficult to say the least. And if you're arresting them for their own health, you have to have a medical person on staff, and you're going to have 2 or 3 of those.
Yep.
And then there's that problem with if something goes wrong, you get sued.
Yep.
So I was just thinking, you know what? Maybe we ought to just let them lay out on the street and worry about that later.
Nah. So right now, we obviously arrest a whole bunch more than this, but if you think of the number 10. So if I arrest 10 people, right now 6 of those will go to Dallas County, meaning that they have a misdemeanor B or above charge in addition to
Dallas
a public
County?
I'm sorry,
okay.
Nueces County.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get Dallas in the head.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, they'll go over to Nueces County, 6 of the 10, meaning that they have a misdemeanor B or more charge, which means that the sheriff has to take them.
All right.
That leaves 4. Of those 4, 2 of them, or 20%, is a public intoxication charge only. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that means that they're going to stay at the CDC for a minimum of 4 hours. All right? That's a costly venture in and of itself, meaning that it takes a Corpus Christi police officer a minimum of about an hour to process that person, because you have to write up these reports and call them or prove to the magistrate that they're a danger to themselves and others.
All right.
So what the sobriety centers and what many centers are doing is that they're entering into this collaborative partnership with county MHMR, behavioral health center people, hospital district, where you have physician assistants. You've got other social service partners that man this, because they're doing this anyway. So we're saying, let's all come together in one particular center. And so when a CCPD officer comes across a public intoxication arrest, they've got choices. Now, if this person is not belligerent, they don't have additional charges, I can simply take them to the sobriety center and just leave them there. So, in effect, decriminalizing the public intoxication piece. Because right now, all we're doing is chasing our tails. We'll arrest them. They'll get out 4 hours later, and without fail, I'll get them again. In one particular case, we arrested a person 3 times. So once we're called, once we come in contact with this person, we've got to do something with them. It takes about 15 minutes for us to drop that person off at a sobriety center.
Okay, who's working at the sobriety center?
The county's MHMR, physician assistants, social workers, many of the things that we already do. What we're going to try to do is bring all those entities together under one roof to service this community. They're doing it anyway. It works in most cities. Austin's opening one now. Of course, Dallas had one. It's how Haven for Hope started, and it was with the police department, and it was with a sobriety center. And so there's ways to do it, but we're going to have to convince partners to partner with the city. And mind you, that like we said during that presentation,
in order to change what's happening to you, you have to want to.
Absolutely.
And I don't see too much of that.
Of want to?
Yeah. I see a whole bunch of hands out and a mouthful of gimme. Mm-hmm. And there are, at any given hour, 50, 60 meetings of like-minded people who gather around the city and even more in the county.
Yes.
Who are more than willing to explain to you the way to, or the path to sobriety that has worked for countless thousands of people. Unfortunately, most of the people who are forced to go, and they usually have a little piece of paper that you have to sign, I don't see those people come back. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about, just meetings for people with addiction problems. Mm-hmm. There are hundreds of them.
of the money, Chief. I mean, you're going to be battling up the hill, man.
Yeah, but,
thanks. Take care.
Yep, Bobby, I appreciate the call. Thank you for listening. It's Lago in the Morning. News Radio 1360 KKTX. Chief Floyd Simpson in the box. And we were talking about the sobriety centers. I don't know if that's is that just a term?
Yeah, and it's one piece of our strategy to try to effectively deal with or have a positive impact on homelessness in our community. So it's just one piece. And I got to tell you, we started this initiative that we call Red Court, and it was targeting those ladies who found themselves trapped in the cycle of prostitution. And same sort of deal where we look to effectively decriminalize certain prostitution cases in conjunction with the DA's office, and we've gotten a lot of help from the Coastal Bend AIDS Foundation. Just a lot of partners within the city of Corpus Christi that chimed in, and we've got 6 ladies who are successfully in that program who are doing a great job, and we hope will break the cycle of that. And so I think intervention, while the success rates may be low, I think that if we can impact 1, 2, or 6, is something that we ought to do. And that's just kind of my position, because I look at these ladies and now they're starting, job searches. They're cleaned up. They're looking at Del Mar College, who's a partner with us, and they're looking to break that cycle. And I'm pretty proud of them.
I never could understand how we could just keep punishing the prostitutes time after time after time after time.
And so when you extrapolate that, and I certainly understand and respect what you're saying, when you extrapolate that out to some of the public intoxication and homeless issues that we see, there's got to be a better way, and I don't know if the sobriety center is it. There's got to be a better way to try and break a cycle. Now, will we give up the CDC? No. Will we still arrest people for public intox? Absolutely. But if you fit a certain criteria or if you're in a certain category, here's an opportunity for you. And you talked about choices. This is your choice. Either you can go to the CDC in that traditional way. That's still going to be there. Or here's a bunch of social services. Here's a bunch of help for you, medical, mental health issues, if that's kind of what the deal is. And if you choose to partake in that, this is here for you. And that's kind of what it is.
It's hard for me not to talk about past experiences when I talk about this, but I'm going to try to stay out of that because it's just not something I think that is that lends itself to a radio, unless people are tuning in for it. But I know it goes beyond the cost. Sure. I understand that, and I understand about the helping hand. But the problem with an addiction is this: there are so many people trying to help, and they have no idea on how to do that. And as I watched the council meeting the other day, I thought, here we have sane people with a pretty good grasp on reality making a decision for people who don't have a very good grasp on reality. There's something wrong with that premise.
Sure.
Because in order to break the cycle of whatever you're doing, you have to make some changes in your own character. So what you have to agree to do is, my life is bad, but I'm going to cut this stuff out, which is sort of like recess, because I can forget about how bad life is for a while if I just do these things, whether it's drugs or alcohol. And make my life infinitely worse for a while.
Sure.
And it's going to be really painful. What they don't understand is growth is usually painful.
Yes.
You have to come to grips with a lot of things that you have been doing without thinking about it. And you really can't live your life without some thinking. That's why I have this problem with people talking about what they feel and how they feel and do you feel and what you feel. The only time I feel is when I jab myself with my pruners or pick up thorny things without gloves on. That's what I feel.
Sure.
I try to think my way through these things because the feeling part of my life sucked.
Yes.
Absolutely sucked.
Yes.
And the only thing I was involved in when I was feeling my life was feeling sorry for myself. You can't get anywhere doing that.
Yes.
Given the choice of making your life more difficult or taking the free stuff, I don't know. If you got 10 people, they'll go, just give me the free stuff. I don't want to do the work. I don't want to do the, and I've already proven to you that I don't want to do the work because I haven't been employed in a long time.
Absolutely. And see, the other part that will be controversial to this undertaking that we're gonna try is, people ought to stop just giving stuff. We talk about these public feedings, and everybody's up at arms about that. Well, there are ways to feed people if they're truly hungry. And we're saying that on the parking lot of City Hall, one, I don't know how sanitary that is. And two,
it's wrong.
What good are you doing?
No.
You're making yourself feel good.
You are.
Yeah, but you're not doing any good with regard to ending somebody's lot in life, particularly homelessness.
All right, what about the food bank?
Yeah, insofar as them giving away.
No, I'm talking about you're in line at the at HEB.
Yes.
You can get $1, $3, $5. Do you continue to do that?
Well, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely, you continue to do that. I'm talking about prepared foods that you're handing out on some dirty parking lot.
Yeah.
To somebody, and that's not doing anybody any good.
Well, we're going to have opportunities to talk about this, aren't we?
Yeah, and actually, my boss, I have to apologize to her. She wants to come in, Susan.
Oh, she does?
Yeah, and she wants to come in and continue this conversation because she
took issue to that part of when I said you got sane people making decisions for people that have not much grasp on reality.
Yeah, I think this is a good conversation. I'm going to see if she can come in here if you don't mind.
I'd love to have her. Have yourself a Bluebell Country Day.